Great Smokies, we have come together to dedicate these mountains and streams and forests, the thousands of them, to the service of the millions of American people.
The Great Smoky Mountains National Park's 75th Anniversary Rededication, brought to you in part by Hilton Garden Inn, Gatlinburg. Now, here's your host, Robin Wilhoit.
Good evening, everyone. I am live in Newfound Gap in the heart of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Right here on this spot is where the great states of North Carolina and Tennessee come together. And it was on this spot back in 1940 that then President Franklin Delano Roosevelt officially dedicated this park. And to my right, you can't see it, but it is there. A monument today marks that day back in 1940. Today, on this, the 75th anniversary of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, it was the site of a rededication ceremony attended by dignitaries, Dolly Parton, of course, and some people who used to call these mountains their home. In the next half hour, we will bring you highlights from this very special ceremony. But right now, we want to take you back and take you along a timeline of how this special place came to be. As early as the 1890s, people started talking and dreaming about setting aside public land here in the Smokies to preserve it for a lifetime. Then in 1926, a bill was signed to establish the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. They needed, though, about 150,000 acres of land. So North Carolina and Tennessee joined together to raise the money. $5 million was donated by the Rockefeller family. And then in 1934, the park was finally established. 6 years later, September 2nd, 1940, it was finally dedicated.
In 1940, on this spot, built by the Civilian Conservation Corps, this memorial to Laura Spelman Rockefeller, on this day in 1940, sitting in this chair, Franklin Delano Roosevelt dedicated the new national park.
And just like back in 1940, there were a lot of dignitaries here today. It really marked a first. This was the first time most of the congressional delegation that represents this park was here at one place at one time. And this is what they had to say.
Well, riding up here today, I realized there were going to be a lot of eloquent things said about this park and the mountains. But I realized that these mountains speak best for themselves. Out of these mountains came a culture that not only shaped two great states, but really shaped this country, a culture of individual ruggedness, something that, again, has made our country great. Thankfully, 75 years ago, people came together from both states and from the capital to make sure that this was preserved for future generations.
There was many times when I would leave the University of Tennessee and travel home back in North Carolina that I would stop on these mountains. And it just goes to show you that many people sacrificed a great deal, whether it be the Cherokee Indians, or whether it be the people of both Swain County and other counties that had to evacuate or left this region to make it a national treasure, to make it the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. That is what makes this region of the United States so special. People come here because of the great beauties that we have, but they stay here because of the people.
And I want to pay special tribute to those early pioneers. In the current issue of the Saturday Evening Post, there's a very positive article about the Great Smoky Mountains National Park and the beautiful land that we have here, but it mentions that 6,000 parcels of property were taken to create this park. And most of those were taken from very poor, but very proud, independent, very intelligent people who were the forebears of many of us who are here today. And I think we should pay a special honor and tribute and think of those people today, because without them, none of us would be here today.
It's my great pleasure on behalf of our congressional delegation to present this resolution to the park, and thank you all so very much for being here and sharing this wonderful day with us.
Now, among all those suits, there was one suit of many colors, and guess who was wearing that? Of course, Sevier County's own Dolly Parton. She is the 75th anniversary ambassador. It's a title she wears proudly. She loves these mountains. She grew up in the foothills of the mountains. She says the Smokies are in her DNA.
And although this year I'm honored to be called the ambassador, I have always been an ambassador for the Smoky Mountains, because I always will be, because I tell everybody how beautiful these mountains are. And no matter where I go, if you say something about the Smoky Mountains, even if people have not been here, they just smile because they seem to know about it. And I don't know why that is. I think it's mostly because these mountains are givers, not takers. I know in my own life, growing up over in one of these hollers, in a family of 12 children, I know that it was these mountains that inspired us, put food on our table, gave us everything that we had actually back then, and gave us wonderful, wonderful ideas for songs and stories.
Now, Dolly wrote and produced a CD and a musical that's performed at Dollywood. It's called Shikanahay, and in Cherokee that means Mountains of Blue Smoke. All the money that has been raised from that, $200,000, is going to the Friends of the Smokies, which of course comes right back here to the park. Now, of course, Dolly would not be here without performing and singing for us. We're going to go to break now with one of two songs she performed today, My Mountains, My Home.
These are my mountains, my valleys, these are my rivers, flowing like a song. These are my people, my memories, these are my mountains. This is why. An old schoolhouse, an old home place down a shady lane. Conversation, playful recreation, friends and neighbors, and you know them all by name. Time for stopping, making time for family, time for washing a little dirty face. Grandpa in the garden, Grandma in the kitchen, and saying daily grace. These are my mountains, my valleys, these are my rivers, flowing like a song. These are my people, my memories, these are my mountains. This is my not ready to leave it all behind. Say goodbye and walk away. A new world's calling, but we're stalling. The future tells me go, but my mountain heart says stay.
Iga kuya hey nagwo josa we you lost say iga kuya hotna I say no we you know do lena taline da silu zeli udana unezach.
And that was Cherokee Elder Jerry Wolf. He gave a blessing today, but first he talked about the respect his people have for this land, and then he blessed the land.
To the east, where the power comes from, the light, the red, the sun comes from the east. Now let's turn 90 degrees to the south. Now to the west, where the darkness, where the end of the day comes after a good hard day's work. And to the north. Back to Mother Earth, to the east. Let's face the east once more. Mother Earth, we honor you. We praise you. The heavenly home above.
As Cherokee Elder Wolf blessed this land, he also asked the 1,700 people who were here to also join with him in that blessing. You know, there were a lot of sacrifices made to make the Great Smoky Mountains National Park possible. Many people gave up their homes, their land. Park Superintendent Dale Dittmanson thanked those people for their gift.
I would now like the folks born in the park, all of their families, and I will bet throughout the crowd there are people here who are descended from families who once owned land in the park, because I know many of you are county mayors, commissioners, and leaders in your community. So everyone here who has roots from families who had land once in the park, if you would all please stand.
Now, one person who has very deep roots here at the park is Senator Lamar Alexander. He says coming to these mountains is like coming home. It makes his life possible, and there's no other place on this earth like it.
India has its Taj Mahal. Italy has its art. England has its history. But we have the great American outdoors. Ken Burns says our national parks are America's best idea. Well, then the Great Smokies must be the very best idea, because so many people come here. But just as remarkable, I believe, is how we feel about our park. We feel like we own it because our families once did. We love it because we grew up hiking here or we adopted it as our home. And we're proud we gave this park to our country so that everybody can enjoy it.
Now, the people of Tennessee and North Carolina worked very long and hard together to make this park possible. An example of this at today's ceremony was when the high school bands from Pittman High School in Swain County, North Carolina, came together to play the Star-Spangled Banner. They take us now to break.
We rededicate this park. We also recommit ourselves to fulfilling President Roosevelt's vision and the vision of those who founded this park, and to completing the work of over so many years. Civilian Conservation Corps enrollees, Park Service employees, park partners, park volunteers, gateway communities, park visitors, and so many others. We say thank you to all of them.
And that was Secretary of the Department of Interior Ken Salazar officially dedicating the park. He represented President Obama, who unfortunately was not able to make it today. A lot of people disappointed about that. He would have been, had he been here, only the second president to visit this park in an official capacity. Now, Salazar spoke of the importance of the people who helped to make this park possible.
The visionaries who created the Great Smoky Mountain National Park understood the power of place, the power of this place. They understood the way that Americans draw strength from the landscapes of our continent, how the great outdoors refuel our spirits when times are tough, and how we cherish our connections to the mountains we hike, the rivers we fish, and the woods where we find solitude. Those are the values protected here. Those are the values we celebrate today.
And Mr. Salazar made mention that this is the most visited national park in the country, 9 million visitors each and every year. He also mentioned that it has the greatest economic impact as far as national parks are concerned. Governor Bredesen made mention of that as well. He also talked about how important the park is to tourism and the jobs in the surrounding area.
As I stand here today at events like this, there's a sense of timelessness about them to me. It was an enormous pleasure for me earlier on to meet a number of those people who were introduced and stood up earlier who were here in 1940, almost 70 years ago, as part of the celebration. It also probably gives me even more pleasure, a greater pleasure, to have met so many young people and to know that some of them will probably be back here 75 years from now to celebrate the 150th anniversary of this park. There will be a different set of governors and congressmen and other people here, but the presence here today of people who were here before and people who will surely be here 3/4 of a century hence really ties together in all of us who are here today the past and the future of this great park and this great country. As I stand here, this park reminds us all of the great gift that the Creator has entrusted to the American people, this beautiful land, and rich land and fragile land that we inhabit. And as we celebrate today, I think there's a greater lesson in this. As we celebrate a milestone in our park's history, may today also remind us of the generous spirit and faith in the future that gave it birth, and may we be moved to recommit ourselves to that spirit and that faith in all we do as a nation. Thank you.
The governor, of course, acknowledging the fact that so many people who are here today also here in 1940 for that dedication of the park. And Anthony Welch had an opportunity, a pleasure of talking to some of those folks today.
Well, and you really get the sense from some of these people how popular this park has become a source of pride, especially for the folks who gave up their homes so that all this could be possible, Robin. I talked to one gentleman today. He gave up his home when he was about 25 years old. He was here in 1940. He says today, like every other time he gets to come back to the park, was truly a special homecoming.
The
feeling that I have, there's no way in the world that I can transfer the feeling that I have so you can feel it and understand it yourself.
A celebration for some 2,000 people. Another homecoming for 100-year-old Gudger Palmer.
Standing in front with his family is Gudger Palmer, born in the valley of the Cataloochee. Gudger Palmer is 100 years old this year.
At 25, his Cataloochee home was taken for the park.
We didn't feel too good about it, but Franklin Roosevelt told us that we gave to something that all the people could enjoy. That pleased us.
And 75 years ago,
I drove a Model A car up here, Ford.
Palmer sat here watching FDR dedicate the Great Smoky Mountains National Park.
Well, it was like this, except you didn't have near as many people. You didn't have to have tickets.
They had no idea then some 9 million people would come each year for free.
I'm proud of that.
And while Palmer says he can't explain what it's like to have an area like this as a hometown, he's thrilled to share at least a piece of its beauty with anyone willing to make the trip.
I just think we ought to be thankful that we can have something like this as part of our country.
May God bless you.
Robin, it was really interesting watching Mr. Palmer's eyes. He could vividly recall when Roosevelt stood up there at the memorial and spoke. He said he remembered him kind of driving up the mountain. He was waving out the car window to people and things like that. On the other side, I talked with a member who was working with the CCC, and he was actually pulling out brush and things like that, hard manual labor. He was in here for several months. This was the first time he had come back to the park. He'd never seen it completed. He was amazed. He said he never thought that it would look like it does today.
And it is a sight to behold. All right, Anthony, thanks so much. Stay with us. More Dolly when we come back. Well, next to the mountains, another person who was the star of the show, no doubt, Dolly Parton. She added a lot of humor today. One thing she said was that she was not here for the first dedication. That was just an ugly rumor. Lots of humor today. Let's bring Anthony in. You have a really fun story to tell here.
Yeah, you know, there's some 2,000 people here, at least the ones that had tickets. Who knows how many more were able to sneak their way in. A lot of us, though, looking for an excuse, whether it was to call in sick for work or maybe get an excused absence from school. Of course, lawmakers galore in the audience. It seems everyone with family history has roots here in this piece of land. But I talked to one fourth grader and his family from Knoxville who were here. They wanted to soak up all the history. Obviously, they couldn't make it 75 years ago. They said this might be the only shot they'd have, but they needed to get an excused absence from school. We talked with Joshua Rutherford's father. He goes to Red Elementary in Knoxville. He said his son's teacher was a little bit apprehensive to excuse the absence. So they decided they were going to rub elbows with some of today's dignitaries. That includes getting Interior Secretary Salazar and Lamar Alexander to sign off on a note from school. And now they're thinking it'll have to be an excused absence since he recruited a little help from the feds.
They weren't at first, but I got an excuse to get out of school. But Joshua, thank you for coming to the, I can't read that word.
I think it's great.
Yeah, Great Smokies. You are excused from school.
And he is planning to do a little bit of report, so hopefully that's enough from the teacher.
I think that'll do it. All right, Anthony, thanks so much. A wonderful day to remember the past and, of course, to celebrate the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. We leave each night with Dolly Parton. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.
Makes no difference where I roam. These